Hey there, Canada watchers. Welcome back to Canadian Insights. So, Mark Carney just agreed to let Doug Ford speedrun Ontario's biggest projects, and honestly, I'm not sure if this is collaborative federalism or just Ottawa admitting they're terrible at paperwork. Either way, buckle up, because we're about to dive into the deal that has bureaucrats everywhere nervously updating their LinkedIn profiles. You know that feeling when you and your roommate keep buying the same groceries because neither of you checks what's already in the fridge? Well, congratulations, that's been the federal and provincial governments doing environmental assessments for the past forever. 2 levels of government, same project, double the paperwork, triple the timeline, and somewhere a developer is aging like fine wine, except they're not fine and they're definitely not happy about it. But now, plot twist, Mark Carney and Doug Ford are about to sign a deal that says, hey, maybe we don't need to assess the same mine shaft twice. Revolutionary stuff, folks. Truly groundbreaking. Literally, in the case of the Ring of Fire. So here's what's happening. Thursday in Ottawa, Carney and Ford are putting pen to paper on an agreement that basically says 1 project, 1 review, 1 decision. It's catchy, it's bureaucratic poetry, and honestly, it sounds like something a management consultant came up with during a trust fall exercise. But the actual impact? Pretty significant. Ottawa's agreeing to eliminate duplicative work on impact assessments for large projects. Translation: if Ontario's already checking whether your pipeline will upset the local beaver population, the feds won't send their own beaver inspector. Finally, some common sense breaking through the wall of red tape like the Kool-Aid man of regulatory reform. The star of this show is the Ring of Fire, which sounds like either a Johnny Cash song or a really aggressive hot sauce, but is actually a mineral-rich region in northern Ontario that's basically sitting on a geological jackpot. We're talking chromite, nickel, copper, and other shiny things that make electric vehicle manufacturers weep with joy. The problem? Getting to it requires roads, and building roads in Canada requires navigating more regulatory hoops than a circus elephant on an obstacle course. Right now, Webequie First Nation and Martin Falls First Nation are leading the charge on environmental assessments for 3 roads that would connect their communities to the provincial highway system and open up mining access. These communities are fly-in only, which means groceries cost approximately your firstborn child, and getting literally anywhere requires either a plane ticket or a really good pair of hiking boots. Both First Nations say these roads are their ticket out of poverty, a chance for economic development, jobs, and maybe not paying $75 for a bag of oranges. It's a big deal. Here's where the federal-provincial tango gets interesting. Under this new agreement, Ottawa's committed to completing its impact assessment on the same timeline as Ontario's environmental assessment. Same timeline. In Canadian infrastructure terms, that's like saying you'll finish your taxes and deep clean your house on the same weekend. Ambitious doesn't even cover it. But both First Nations are aiming to start construction in 2026, so the pressure's on. The feds can't just show up fashionably late with their impact assessment in 2029 going, sorry, traffic was crazy, while Ontario's already cutting ribbons. Now, before we get too carried away with the Kumbaya vibes, let's pump the brakes for a second. Not everyone in the region is throwing confetti over this road plan. Other nearby First Nations aren't exactly on board, and that's putting it mildly. Environmental concerns, traditional land use, consultation gaps, you name it, there's pushback. And that's the tricky thing about these massive projects, they're never as simple as build road, make money, everyone's happy. There are legitimate concerns about environmental impact, about whose voices are being heard, and whether speedrunning assessments means cutting corners or genuinely cutting inefficiency. The whole 1 project, 1 review, 1 decision thing sounds great in theory, like meal prepping or finally organizing your email inbox. But the devil's in the details. Are we streamlining bureaucracy or bulldozing important safeguards? Because there's a difference between eliminating redundancy and eliminating rigor. Ottawa and Ontario say they're doing the former, and honestly, given how glacially slow these processes usually move, a little collaboration might actually be overdue. But keep your eyes on how this plays out, because the proof will be in the execution, not just the press release. What makes this deal particularly spicy is the timing. Carney's barely gotten his furniture arranged in the PM's office, and here he is already making moves with Doug Ford. Ford, who's never met a shovel-ready project he didn't want to fast-track, is probably doing cartwheels behind closed doors. For Carney, this is a chance to show he's serious about economic development, Indigenous partnerships, and making government actually function like it's operating in the 21st century. For Ford, it's validation that his build, baby, build approach might actually get federal backup instead of federal roadblocks. And look, There's something genuinely refreshing about two levels of government admitting they've been doing the same work twice and deciding to, I don't know, communicate like adults. It's collaboration. It's efficiency. It's the kind of thing that makes policy wonks do a little happy dance. But it's also a test case. If this works, if roads get built, assessments get done properly, communities see real benefits, and the environment doesn't get trashed in the process, then maybe, just maybe, this model gets rolled out for other big projects across the country. If it crashes and burns? Well, at least we tried, and there'll be plenty of I told you so's to go around. The Canadian press got wind of these details during a reporting trip to the Ring of Fire, which, shout out to journalists willing to fly into remote northern Ontario for the story. That's dedication. And it's important we're paying attention because these kinds of deals, the ones signed in Ottawa with handshakes and photo ops, they have real consequences for real people in real communities hundreds of kilometers away. So where does this leave us? Carney and Ford are betting that cutting red tape doesn't mean cutting corners. Indigenous communities are betting that roads mean opportunity. Environmentalists are betting we don't rush through protections that actually matter. And all of us are watching to see if one project, one review, one decision, is the streamlined future of Canadian infrastructure or just a really good slogan. All right, Canada, that's the deal. Carney and Ford, teaming up to make bureaucracy slightly less bureaucratic. Will it work? Will the Ring of Fire finally get its roads? Will 2026 actually happen, or will we all be shocked when timelines slip? Time will tell, but at least things are moving. If you made it this far, hit that like button. Subscribe to Canadian Insights for more updates because trust me, we're posting multiple times today and you don't want to miss what's coming next. Drop a comment and let me know, is this deal the regulatory breakthrough Canada needs, or are we just trading one problem for another? Let's talk about it. Catch you in the next one.